Welcome to a special edition of Jesse Watters Primetime. I'm Pete Hegseth, in for Jesse on a Friday night. Well, the grades are in, and Kamala Harris last night flunked her exam.
Did you see her on television last night? This is going to be the president. This is going to be the president of our country? I don't think so. And it's the first interview she's done in, like, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And if you're too weak to do a one-on-one interview with a person that was so soft, you know, I know Dana, she's always, always nasty. It was a very weak interview from the standpoint of CNN. I think CNN should be ashamed of themselves.
Just like Joe at the debate, the country watched the Kamala Harris bubble pop in real time last night. And as Trump mentioned, it wasn't because CNN's Dana Bash asked any hard-hitting questions. She did not. It's because Kamala proved she's not Obama and she's not even Biden. She's worse. What we're about to show you, hide the kids, will shock you. Not only did she not look presidential, hunched over like a break room table, squished in between Dana Bash and Tampon Tim, but Kamala spent a whole month preparing for one interview. And she couldn't answer the easiest question a reporter could ever. They had to have practiced for this 10 times, right? Okay, Kamala, we're doing this again. This question's definitely coming. You want to be president? Here's the question.
If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans, really dividing our nation, and I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy.
In day one, we're going to implement my plan. What is your plan? I'll tell you later. Pass it so you can find out what it is. I've heard that before. CNN had to ask Kamala what her vision was twice, and they still didn't get an answer. Didn't Democrats just spend a month telling us Kamala is the candidate of hope and optimism and change?
To bring America what I believe the American people deserve, which is a new way forward, and turn the page on the last decade of what I believe has been contrary to where the spirit of our country really lies.
But the last decade, of course, the last 3.5 years has been part of your administration.
I'm talking about an era that started about a decade ago.
Excuse me, I prefer not to interrupt, but you have been in the White House for the last 3.5 years, right? They pretend like the last 4 years of Harris-Biden never happened. I mean, Dana could barely get the words out of her mouth. It's the easiest follow-up of all time, but she's so in the tank she couldn't. You see, Kamala wants you to forget that her fingerprints were all over. Remember this? The biggest cover-up in Washington history.
You insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly.
I told you to hide the kids. It's hard to watch. Body language experts, by the way, told the Daily Mail that when Biden's name was brought up, quote, there was a look of what could be fear in her eye expression, and her brows pucker as she even rearranges her shoulders as though going through battle. That was the Daily Mail. Harris looked uncomfortable. You watched it, the whole interview. Maybe it has something to do with her chaperone, Coach Tim, towering over. You know, you want your coach helping you, but not right there. Or maybe it's because she was trying to be somebody that she's not. I mean, I'd be nervous, too, if I was the border czar and let in 10 million people on my watch.
Just one other question about something that you said in 2019 when you first ran. There was a debate. You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws. that have to be followed and enforced, that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequences.
It was more than 10 million people. She knows it. The Harris-Biden White House sold Trump's border wall for scrap and then opened the floodgates to illegals. Now Kamala believes in consequences? And maybe she's now Magala Harris, or is it Magala Harris? You know, pronunciations are very important. Kamala sounded poorly rehearsed. She was visibly uncomfortable, and she lied through her teeth. And Dana Bash didn't stop her. She allowed her to do just that. The only time Kamala told the truth was when she admitted, she hasn't changed.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed.
How should voters look at some of the changes that you've made? Should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed.
They've not changed. Anytime, by the way, take this to the bank. Anytime she says for the rest of this campaign, let me be clear, she's about to say something that's not clear at all or contradicts something she stood for before. You see, this interview was not about getting to the bottom of what Harris actually believes. The media knows what you and I know, that she's a California socialist, and that's putting it kindly. This was about testing Kamala. Can she handle primetime? Could she spin her way out of just a softball? It turns out she can't do it. CNN's own fact checkers came out last night and gave her a flunking grade.
The fact check bottom line, Abby, is that she did not actually make clear at a 2020 debate that she had changed her previous support for a fracking ban. I went over the transcript of that debate tonight. Nowhere in there does she make clear that she had abandoned her previous support for a fracking ban.
And the media thinks she even just missed the end zone.
I think she moved the ball forward a little bit. You know, maybe she didn't score a touchdown tonight.
I don't think she moved the ball that much forward.
I think we saw why it took her 35 days to do an interview. You know, she was mushy, she was weak, and it was artificial. It felt contrived the whole way.
She offered no remorse, no regrets, no introspection about anything they've done. She's trying to skip a block of time.
Anyone looking for inspiration last night, of course, left disappointed, while you were left vindicated. Kamala sounded like the Kamala we've known all along, a sham.
I find a lot of her trajectory to not be my brand of woman or leader. We've got 3 major international crises going on and someone applying to be commander-in-chief. As a woman, I want to see you do more than, appeal to giggling and having a girl moment on the stage.
Last night, Kamala Harris tried to run out the clock. She stalled and filled time with poorly memorized line after poorly memorized line. And then she still fumbled the ball at her own 1-yard line, even though Dana Bash handed it to her on a silver platter right in the middle of her Super Bowl. You see, Operation Hide Harris failed because as soon as Kamala stepped foot in front of a camera for the first time with the bright lights, the whole country's watching, she was forced to answer for her flip-flops, mistakes, and scandals all in a short interview, and she couldn't do it. The interview was less than 30 minutes. That's half of this show. That's 1/8 of Fox and Friends weekend. It's nothing. It's easy. CNN tried every way they could to make it as easy as possible, although whoever put him in that break room should be fired. Who picked that set? And what did Kamala do? She handed the ball right back to Team Trump. That's called a bad candidate, and it's called bad decision making. And if Kamala Harris can't even perform in a basic interview, a really easy one, how's she going to run the country? Hopefully after last night and the debate that's still to come, she never will.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.